It is our desire that you conclude and agree and adore your unfulfilled self. It is our desire that you finally acknowledge that we are all eternally incomplete, and that is why we are eternal. Because if we ever get it done, and we won't, we would really be dead. But since we are eternal beings, always exploring the variety for the conclusion of the new preference, and since source energy hears our preference and understands it as summoning desire and answers it, then we continue, all of us, you in your physical format, we in our non-physical format, we all continue to expand, to become more. Everything that we just said is essential to your joyous physical experience, because you are out here literally on the leading edge of that expansion. You have come forth as source energy, focused into your specific personality to explore this unique contrast in order to specifically conclude your moment-to-moment preference. And whether you speak it or not, when you prefer, and you can't help but do that, you ask, which is what step one of the creative process is. Source hears your request and answers immediately, fully, fantastically, perfectly. Step two. What we are here to talk about eternally with you is step three, which is once you have identified something that you desire, you must be a vibrational match to it, or you don't let it in. When you are matching it, you are in what we call the receiving mode or the allowing mode. When you are not matching it, you are in the resistant mode or the not allowing mode or the not receiving mode. And the emotions that you feel let you know which you are doing and to what degree. So as you are poised here in this fantastic leading edge environment, you said, I will be aware of the way I feel, for that is my conscious connection to who I really am. You understood that you were coming forth into a leading edge environment, and you knew that in every leading edge environment, there is enough variety that you have to pay attention to what you're doing with your focus. If you are focused in vibrational harmony with all that is good, you feel your connection to your source, because your source is all that you consider to be good. But if you choose a thought and you make it your thought of the moment for as long as 17 seconds, then you activate within yourself a signal that matches or doesn't match that source signal. This is not so different from the radio tower and the radio receiver. So as you are a vibrational match to who you really are, you feel your connection, and that connection to who you really are feels glorious. It feels like joy. It feels like love. It feels like vitality. It feels like enthusiasm. It feels like eagerness. It feels good. It feels so good when you allow yourself to be aligned to your source. But if you choose a thought and maintain it for as little as 17 seconds and set up a vibration within you that is not a match to that, then you would feel things like fear or things like anger or blame or hatred or frustration. You would feel those emotions, and really, in fairness, we must say to you, there are only two emotions, and one feels good and one feels bad. But you have come to give them all kinds of different labels because they apply in different ways in your experience. Sometimes we tease and we say, which feels better, blame or guilt? And you know, as humans, you can answer that. In other words, most of you really prefer blame to guilt. And we acknowledge those are rotten choices that we have given you because they are equally not allowing who you really are in the moment. The way you are thinking right now has to do with what you are giving your attention to. It's true. But what you are giving your attention to has a lot to do with what you have been giving your attention to. In other words, we would not ask any of you who have been living in some crises long enough that it really has your attention to all of a sudden give your undivided attention to something else, because law of attraction would say that is not a very likely thing. Law of attraction, which is the managing law of all that is, of this universe in which you and we are focused, says that whatever vibration you are currently holding is your point of attraction. So that means thoughts that occur to you match where you are. Experiences that happen to you match where you are. In other words, your life reflects your vibrational countenance. So why would Abraham or anyone come forth and teach deliberate creation and try to encourage you to think more pleasant thoughts if the thought that you're probably going to think is pretty much about the same as the thought that you've been thinking? The reason we do it is because we know you can choose your vibrational countenance. We also know most of you have not known that you could and have not been doing it. And so things not necessarily of your first choice are dominating your vibration. But even with all of that, we notice that what dominates your vibration the most of the time is a rather good vibration. Look at the way you live. Your expectation for living well is very, very high. Look at your standard of living. Look at the way you live. Look at the way you move about. Look at the efficiency of your environment. You are doing extremely well. But you are, here in this room, leading edge creators. Jerry and Esther's sound engineer calls it the bleeding edge from time to time. You are leading edge creators. And what that means is you are exposing yourself to variety that could inspire you to more connection, might inspire you to less connection, but you are on that definitive edge, and that's what makes you creators. That's what makes you deliberate creators. You didn't come forth as extensions of Source just to be that which you have come to be. You came forth as extensions of Source to identify beyond and to take thought beyond that which it has been before, to be a catalyst to the expansion of the universe. Because you knew that the variety that you were participating in would give birth within you to yet another new idea, preference, desire. Call it anything you want. Don't call it anything. You don't even have to speak it, because you are not being answered by your word. You are being answered by your vibration. So as you offer this vibration of desire, Source hears it and answers it. And in the answering of your desire, there is an expanding universe. So feel the power and the perfection and the value of your preference. And understand that you cannot stop preferring. You cannot stop observing. You cannot stop concluding. You cannot stop summoning. You are summoning beings. You were born to be that. The question that we have for you is that as you are summoning by the variety that is inspiring you to the new preference, how often are you a match to what you yourself are summoning? That's the big question. Are you vibrationally allowing what you're asking for? The answer is evident. If it's coming to you quickly, if you think of something that you want and enjoy the idea of it, and then it flows into your experience, then we would say, yes, you have learned the art of allowing. You've learned to identify desire, achieve vibrational harmony with it, and allow it into your experience. That's just what you planned. But if you have desires that you have been wanting for a long time that you just can't seem to manage to bring into your experience, or if there's something that seems stuck to you that you'd like to get rid of that you cannot seem to release from your experience, then you are not a vibrational match to your desire. You are instead a vibrational match to where you are. So we have a fun question for you that sort of gets things going and shakes you up a little bit in terms of being willing to reach for some new ways of doing things. We would like to ask you, of these two choices that we will give you, which would you prefer? Do you prefer truth or untruth? Good answer. Of these two choices that we are offering you, which do you prefer? Something that feels good or something that feels bad? Another good answer. Of these two choices, which do you prefer? Something that feels good or something that is true? It's a little bit of a mind twister because this is a perfect example of you coming face to face in this moment with a decision of whether to connect with Source or not and feeling contradicted about which is the right way to go because you've been trained to believe one thing while your guidance system is giving you another. In other words, you've been trained that at all costs you should tell the truth. And what we are wanting you to understand is that there is plenty of truth that you can tell that does feel good. In other words, you don't have to get into this place where you are compromising past beliefs or jeopardizing your status with your mother or with your church. Well, maybe. But we want you to begin to use your own guidance system, because when you use some standard that is outside of you, then you lose your way, because the standards outside of you are moving all around to serve some other end, and you are wanting to make your choices based upon what is coming forth from the guidance which is within you. When you have a desire and your habit of thought, which is all a belief is, doesn't match it, then you're not in the receiving mode. And our friends who are physical will often say, well, how can I change a belief? And we say, you don't have to change a belief. You just have to activate one that matches. Every thought that has ever been thought, you still have vibrational access to. You just have to get somewhere in the vibrational vicinity of it. There are some of those vibrations that you really want to hook up with, and there are some that you wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. In other words, there are some you do not want to be part of your vibrational makeup. And you are the discerner of which is which. As you move through your experience, sometimes when you were very young, or sometimes it could have happened yesterday, sometimes you were exposed to an experience, and we have to say, law of attraction is part of what causes you to be exposed. You could not be exposed to anything that you were not a vibrational match to. But sometimes you are exposed to something that seems small and insignificant. And as you give it your undivided attention, or even a good dose of attention, and you begin to reverberate within it, then law of attraction brings you more. So what happens is, you notice it, you offer a vibration about it. Law of attraction matches your vibration, so now you notice it more. And as you notice it more, you offer even more vibration about it, and law of attraction brings you even more to match it, and then you offer more vibration. And so what happens is, you attract by virtue of your vibration, not knowing that you are doing it, and then you say, see, that's why I believe this. There is evidence all around me to support it. There is fact, or there is history, or there is my own experience. And we say, that is true. But every bit of that fact or history or your own experience is without exception coming in response to your vibrational offering. So you say, well, Abraham, this doesn't seem right. So I come innocently into this environment, and just because I observe stuff, it gets in my vibration, and then I'm sort of stuck there forevermore. And we say, you're stuck there forevermore if you just observe and offer a vibration, but you are not stuck anywhere if you are being deliberate in your choice of thoughts. And if you care at all how you feel, and are willing to let the only thing that matters be that it feels good while you are giving your attention to it, you can easily guide yourself from any place in a very short period of time just by diligently choosing the thought that you want to make active in your vibration. Now, why would you want to choose? Well, because it's your life. It's your connection. It's your moment. It's your moment of feeling good or bad. It's your moment of attraction. Your future experience is based upon it. In other words, everything that you are depends upon your allowing of your connection to Source or your disallowing of connection to Source. Everything that you are living, your vitality, your clarity, your health, your abundance, your relationships, your environment, everything about your life is about the way you manage this juncture between your Source you and the physically conscious, physically focused, human, powerful creator you. And we're wanting you to understand that everybody's doing the best that they know how to do, but this business of activating a vibration is really worth talking about.